Let's talk about relationships, because let's face it, they shape our happiness, our energy, and even our success. Now, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Do not date an overthinker. Why? Because love is about flow, it's about trust. And overthinking, that's the enemy of both. Imagine this, you send a text, hey, had an amazing time today, and boom, instead of a warm response, you get silence. Not because they don't like you, but because they're trapped in their own mental prison. What do they mean by amazing? Was that emoji too much? Should I wait 10 minutes before replying, or will that seem weird? Come on, life is too short for this. Overthinking kills spontaneity. Love, in its purest form, is about presence, flow, and connection. It's about feeling the moment, embracing the emotions, and allowing the natural rhythm of two people to sync without unnecessary hesitation. But when one person is trapped in their head, constantly analyzing every word, every action, and every response, that natural rhythm is disrupted. It's like trying to dance with someone who keeps second guessing every step. They're not truly in the moment, and neither are you. When spontaneity dies, so does the excitement. Think about those moments that make a relationship special, the late night drives, the unexpected I love yous, the spontaneous weekend trips. These moments create lasting memories, and they happen because two people are fully present. But an overthinker struggles with presence. Instead of feeling the joy of the moment, they're busy dissecting it. Imagine planning a surprise date. You've put thought into it, you're excited, and you can't wait to see their reaction. But instead of embracing the moment, they start questioning it. Why did you pick this place? Did you choose it because you thought I'd like it, or because it's convenient? What does this mean for us? Should I act excited, or will that seem over the top? Their mind becomes a maze of unnecessary questions, robbing the moment of its magic. And eventually, overthinking doesn't just kill spontaneity in big moments, and suddenly the natural, effortless connection between two people turns into a series of calculations. A relationship should be a space of freedom, where both people can be themselves without walking on eggshells. But when you date an overthinker, it's like navigating a minefield of possible misinterpretations. You start second guessing yourself. You become cautious with your words, careful with your actions, and hesitant about being your true self. And that's the real tragedy. Overthinking doesn't just steal their joy, it steals yours too. Love should feel easy, not because relationships don't require effort, but because being with the right person means feeling safe to be yourself. You shouldn't have to constantly clarify your intentions or explain your every move. You shouldn't feel like you're being evaluated instead of loved. In the end, relationships are about experiencing life together, not overanalyzing it. If you have to constantly work around someone's overthinking, you're not in a relationship, you're in a constant battle against doubt. And no love story thrives in hesitation. Overthinkers create problems that don't exist. In relationships, perception is everything. A simple moment can either be embraced for what it is or turned into a mental puzzle full of imaginary issues. When you date an overthinker, even the most innocent situations can spiral into unnecessary drama. What should have been a fun, lighthearted relationship can turn into a stressful experience. Are they losing interest? By the time you finally message them back, they're in full panic mode, convinced there's a problem. In reality, there isn't one at all. This kind of thinking doesn't just happen occasionally, it becomes a pattern. Every small change in your tone, every delayed response, every minor shift in your behavior gets examined like a crime scene. The worst part, overthinkers often don't communicate their worries in a healthy way. Instead of asking directly, they may withdraw, act distant, or respond with passive-aggressive comments. And now, instead of enjoying the relationship, you find yourself constantly playing detective, trying to figure out what's wrong. The truth is, relationships thrive on trust, not assumptions. An overthinker can take a perfectly healthy relationship and inject it with doubts, misinterpretations, and unnecessary tension. They start solving problems that don't even exist, making every interaction feel heavier than it needs to be. Over time, this behavior can be exhausting. You might find yourself avoiding certain topics, over-explaining simple things, or even censoring yourself just to prevent them from overanalyzing. And that's the real danger. Overthinking doesn't just create problems for them, it creates problems for you too. You begin to feel like you're constantly under a microscope, like every word you say is being scrutinized. Instead of feeling free and comfortable, you start tiptoeing around their thoughts, trying not to trigger another unnecessary emotional spiral. Love is meant to be a place of peace, a space where two people can relax and enjoy each other's presence. But when you're dating an overthinker, that peace is constantly, you don't just deal with real issues, you deal with imagined ones too. And no matter how much you reassure them, They will always find something new to analyze, something new to doubt. At some point, you have to ask yourself, do I want a relationship where I'm constantly proving myself? Because that's what happens when you date an overthinker. You're forever reassuring them that nothing is wrong. And in the process, you lose sight of what relationships are really about: trust, joy, and emotional freedom. Doubt drains relationships. A relationship should be a source of strength, joy, and emotional safety. But when one person is constantly doubting the other, that foundation weakens. Overthinkers don't just question situations, they question intentions, emotions, and even love itself. And when you're in a relationship with someone who always needs reassurance, it doesn't take long before it starts draining you emotionally. At first, you might not notice it. You comfort them when they feel insecure, you explain things when they misinterpret your words, and you try to be extra clear to avoid misunderstandings. But over time, the weight of their constant doubt becomes exhausting. Every little action turns into something that needs justification. If you don't reply fast enough, they assume you're losing interest. If you seem quieter than usual, they think something is wrong. Even when you express love, they might wonder if you truly mean it. Doubt is like a slow poison in a relationship. It starts small and innocent. Are you sure everything's okay? But as time passes, it grows into something much bigger. Do you still love me? What if you find someone better? What if you're only with me out of habit? Instead of enjoying the relationship, you find yourself constantly proving your feelings, constantly battling their fears, constantly trying to convince them that they have nothing to worry about. And no matter how much you do, it's never enough. When someone doubts your love, no amount of reassurance will permanently fix it, because doubt isn't about what's happening in the relationship. It's about how they think about the relationship. You can say, I love you 1,000 times, and they will still wonder, but do they really mean it? You can show up consistently, make them feel special, and be fully committed, yet their mind will still find ways to question it. This kind of emotional cycle is exhausting. It drains the joy out of the connection and turns love into a job where you're constantly managing their insecurities. The worst part is that constant doubt eventually creates distance. At first, you try harder to reassure them, but as time goes on, you start feeling like no matter what you do, it won't be enough. You start feeling misunderstood, frustrated, even trapped. And when that happens, the very thing they fear, losing you, becomes more likely to happen. A great relationship is built on trust, not constant questioning. When two people trust each other, they don't waste time overanalyzing or doubting. They focus on growing, laughing, and enjoying life together. Love should feel like a partnership, not like an endless emotional test where one person always needs proof. So ask yourself, do you want to spend your life constantly convincing someone to believe in your love? Or do you want to be with someone who already does? Because love should be about moving forward together, not about trying to pull someone out of their own doubts. Overthinking turns love into a mental battlefield. A relationship should be a place of peace, trust, and connection, a space where two people feel safe and free to be themselves. But when one partner is an overthinker, that peace is replaced with tension, second guessing, and endless overanalysis. Instead of flowing naturally, love becomes a constant mental struggle where every word and action is dissected like a puzzle that must be solved. At first, it might seem harmless. Maybe they ask for clarification on something small. What did you mean by that? Or are you sure you're okay? But over time, it becomes a pattern. Every conversation turns into a potential misunderstanding. Every minor disagreement turns into an exhausting debate. A simple moment of silence becomes, are they mad at me? A missed call turns into, are they avoiding me? A change in routine becomes, are they losing interest? Instead of enjoying the relationship, you feel like you're walking through a psychological minefield. You have to carefully choose your words, predict their reactions, and constantly reassure them just to keep the peace. And no matter how much love you give, it never seems to be enough. Their minds find ways to create imaginary problems, turning what should be a joyful experience into something emotionally draining. The worst part, overthinkers often don't realize the damage they're doing. They believe their constant analysis is a form of care. They think by questioning everything, they're protecting the relationship. But in reality, they're suffocating it. When love is put under a microscope, it loses its magic. Spontaneity disappears. Natural chemistry fades. Every interaction becomes forced, strategic. This mental battlefield creates exhaustion. You begin to hesitate before saying things, fearing how they might interpret it. You start filtering your emotions, holding back your thoughts, and choosing silence over speaking just to avoid another round of overanalysis. And once that happens, the relationship is no longer a true connection, it's a constant game of trying to manage someone else's thoughts. Love isn't meant to be a never-ending series of tests. You shouldn't have to constantly prove your feelings, defend your actions, or navigate through layers of unnecessary worry. A strong relationship is built on trust, ease, and mutual understanding, not on the need to constantly reassure and over-explain. If you find yourself in a relationship where love feels like an uphill battle, where you're spending more time managing someone's doubts than actually enjoying the connection, you have to ask yourself, is this really love? Or is this emotional labor disguised as a relationship? And simply be with one another without turning every moment into a mental war zone. Overthinking kills attraction. In the beginning, relationships are fueled by excitement, spontaneity, and a sense of ease. When two people connect naturally, there's a flow, a chemistry that makes things feel effortless. But when overthinking enters the picture, that effortless connection starts to feel like a burden. Instead of letting moments unfold naturally, the overthinker constantly questions, analyzes, and doubts everything, and nothing kills attraction faster than the constant weight of unnecessary worry. Attraction isn't just about looks or charm, it's about energy. They create a magnetic pull, but an overthinker's energy is often filled with uncertainty and insecurity. You might find it sweet that they care so much, but after a while, that kind of thinking becomes exhausting. Instead of feeling drawn to them, you start feeling responsible for managing their emotions. And attraction dies when a relationship starts feeling like emotional babysitting instead of a passionate connection. Overthinkers often don't realize they are pushing people away. They assume that constantly seeking reassurance is a way to strengthen the bond, but it does the opposite. Instead of letting love grow naturally, they force it under a microscope. Every word is dissected, every silence is questioned, and every small shift in behavior is turned into a crisis. And when love stops feeling light and starts feeling like work, attraction fades fast. Think about the most attractive people you've ever met. They weren't the ones who second-guessed everything, they were the ones who carried themselves with confidence. They didn't need constant validation because they trusted in themselves and the connection they were building. That kind of self-assurance makes someone irresistible. But an overthinker's constant doubts create hesitation, fear, and emotional weight, things that push people away rather than draw them in. The truth is, attraction thrives in trust and certainty. It grows when both people feel safe, secure, and present in the moment. It flourishes when there's mystery, playfulness, and ease, not endless questioning and overanalysis. The moment you have to explain your every move, the moment someone needs constant reassurance, attraction shifts from excitement to exhaustion. So if you're dating an overthinker, be aware, the very thing they fear, losing you, can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Attraction isn't something you force or analyze, it's something you feel. And when a relationship stops feeling light and effortless, it's only a matter of time before one person starts pulling away.